All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming in. My name is Kristina Hansen. I am the instructional designer here for the CTE. And some of you might have met me here, have been here through faculty consultations, or you've seen me in meetings. So, yep, that's me. All right, so once again, thank you for signing up for this training. I wanted to tackle a topic that I feel like it is really kind of exploded in the last year or so. And while technological advances are a net positive, there are definitely some aspects of it that might be a gray area and might have some challenges and how we can overcome them. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to explore the crossroads at which educators find themselves regarding the use of AI and open education resources, and how we can navigate what is essentially a bountiful, invaluable resource. Speaking of both, how we can navigate these to enhance learning and not corrupt academic integrity. So let's begin. So right now, we are in the point of convergence. There's boundless potential, and just like there's potential for good, there's also potential for abuse with these advances. So as educators, I want to ask you, start with an icebreaker exercise. Write down a fear you have and a hope you have regarding OER and AI in the classroom.
Do we wanna on a piece of paper?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. You can use a notepad. You can use your
I'll be
own.
a silent participant, but I just wanna make sure.
You can take all of them if you want.
No, but there might be 8 people sign up, so we're still hoping that there will be lost soul.
So let's see. Our greatest hopes and fears. We're going to write them down. Give me another minute, and then we're gonna. All right. So what are some? What's one hope? What's a hope that you wish to get out of the use of, let's say, OER and AI, or both? Yeah.
Basically, just to become more efficient and reduce the time it takes to complete tedious tasks.
All right, you're in luck because I talk about that a lot.
Yeah, to provide lower cost access to information and education.
Exactly, bridging that gap. Very good point. Anybody else?
For me, the utilizing the resources that are available properly, utilizing the resources available. Yes.
Definitely, yes. So with the positive, the hopes and dreams regarding the use of these resources, what is a concern of yours, or like a worst case scenario? Like, what is one way this could go terribly wrong? Yes.
Cheating, like students feeding it test questions and it's spitting out the answer, which I've seen.
Yep.
For me, lower quality of output. Output that doesn't really match what is needed.
Because sometimes AI can be wrong, and it can not understand the prompt, and which is also one of its inherent flaws. So, and these are all valid concerns. So today, what we want to talk about, our main objectives, we want to understand like what these resources are. What are the benefits of OER? What is the potential and the benefits of AI in education? We're going to talk about the risks and challenges involved for each, discussing going into the ethical considerations. What is at what point is generative AI plagiarism, or at what point is doing work where you use generative AI to enhance it, at what point is no longer your work, the ship of Theseus kind of thing. And also what strategies we can employ to responsibly integrate these resources, especially AI. So. All right, so now first we're going to talk about AI and OER in education. So first with OER, so basically, how many of you use open educational resources in your courses?
Not in my courses, but in the courses I'm taking in my PhD.
Okay, good. You use it too? Yeah. Yeah. So OER, they're actually as a contrast to the all rights reserved like publisher textbook, the traditional textbook that you buy at the bookstore or anywhere else. The open education resources are web-based resources that can be in the form of a textbook. It can be in the form of a module. It can be an e-learning, interactive media. It can be like a storyline presentation. It can be any of those things. And these are under open license, so they're not copyrighted materials. I mean, yes, they are credited with their creator, but they are under an open license. So this allows people to use them under Creative Commons licensing.
Wikiversity is OER. Wikiversity?
What the versity?
University?
University?
Wiki.
Oh, Wiki University?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the?
I think that's part of OER too, because it has modules in it.
Yeah.
It's just available.
Kind of like LinkedIn Learning. Like the.
Not quite.
No.
The video that LinkedIn Learning has.
Yeah. So yeah, like with any kind of even let's say you're teaching a business course and you go on LinkedIn Learning for a crash course on entrepreneurship, that would be utilizing an open educational resource. And the 5 pillars of OER: retain, reuse, revise, remix, and redistribute. So these are all, especially the reuse. It can be it could be used endlessly, throughout the courses. It's not like you don't have to get permission every semester that you teach. Revise and remix are very important in terms of updating these resources, which we're going to talk about. A regular update of information is one of the larger concerns regarding OER. But these are the benefits. Just like any benefit, it has its drawbacks, but the benefits outweigh the drawbacks. So it expands the access to education, to resources. So where anywhere in the world students can access OER at any time. And they can access the material, as often as they wish. And so, like I mentioned, instead of the traditional textbooks, OER has, OER can substantially reduce the costs of said textbooks. I remember one semester, paying almost $900 for 4 classes for textbooks. So OER definitely solves that problem, because these are free to use and open source to use. So, and that can also help reduce the cost of education, which is one of the biggest concerns in students today. So like I said, another one, flexibility and customization. You as educators can create OER content. You can create that content. You can also customize it. If you're an expert in your field, you can actually publish your own OER, whether it's a module or any kind of assignment or any activity. So under the, like I said, the all rights reserved content, OER can be modified. You can do an excerpt. You don't have to even include the whole thing. You can include a couple paragraphs. You can rearrange it, revise it, anything to tailor it to the objectives of your course. So, and another thing is increased student interaction. What that is when students are exposed to, not just one publisher content, but to a myriad of, to this kind of like this, when they're exposed to, a diverse set of these resources, they can actually, it can open up their critical thinking more, because, the diverse sources, they come from, diverse publishers. It's a different angle. They're able to look at stuff from a different perspective. It's not just one person or one publisher. So, which is, which helps with their critical thinking skills. It can help with creativity depending on the course, which is a net positive. So, this is a little bit of how we can, a lot of people will say well, AI only benefits the students. What's in it for the educator? And this is just the main points in how AI can benefit your educators. So this is, this side, sure, it can benefit the students. For example, instant tailored feedback as the student is writing. Mm-hmm. Sure. So tailored feedback on writing. They can offer suggestions. Remember, if I remember correctly, Grammarly was one of the earliest AI programs. I remember I still have it on my, as I write my emails. And it can identify any kind of spelling errors, grammar, even suggesting synonyms. If they're like, oh, you've used the word experiment 48 times in this paper, would you like to see some synonyms? They can do that. And that also helps, hey, these students are learning new words that they haven't thought about using before. It can also help with if English is not your first language, or if they're if they're studying material that's not in their native language and they're not fluent, helping, it can actually help with kind of guide them in their writing. Adaptive assessments, which I've discovered in the past year that are actually very, very beneficial in helping bridge the gap. Especially, I could see this working especially in elementary school, where the assessment itself looks at your work, looks at your progress, and adapts it based on your skill level, where it still challenges you, but it doesn't completely stack the cards against you, when competing with your classmates. And this can help with some students' confidence. This can help them from being ostracized, with, oh, well, you're in remedial class or you're in this class, you have to, you're not as smart as us. It helps eliminate that, to where it's just a matter of student, everybody has a different learning style and everybody learns differently, so, and this can really help with that. Another way it can bridge the gap, it can provide more customized support. It can help more accurately identify what students are struggling with, and kind of help guide them to, with whether it's via exercises or any kind of like tutoring, AI tutoring platforms. And everybody's favorite from an educator standpoint can streamline time-consuming tasks. So grading, attendance especially, even tailoring the lesson plans, based on if you, let's say, you can upload a few PDFs and say, use these PDFs to kind of tweak my lesson plan. AI can do that. And educators, like with these benefits, they can really help support, this will help provide educators with the information they have so they can provide these customized enrichment opportunities to where the educator doesn't have to necessarily put in the effort and look at the data, and that way they can. So it's all in all, it's a lot more efficient. So, well, where's everybody else with AI? What do people think about it? So this was based on EdWeek Research Center survey this past April, and the responses are mainly from administrative school district leaders and principals. So, this one is from K through 12, but it does show where the educator, the education industry is with it. So, if you're looking at 38% says we're considering using them. We don't use them and don't plan on to start doing so, 30%. 17% are the ones that are actively exploring them, and then 16% are piloting them, and none have actually said that they're using them extensively. However, when you look at it, this is the 30% here is the only definite answer that does not plan on using them. 38%, so you got 40,
We have a
55?
math teacher here.
Yeah. You got 55%, 71%, so almost, more than 70% of the school district leaders and principals have actually have a favorable take on using them. So when you think about it, the ones that don't use them is only 30%, but 70% they do. They are at least exploring the options. Well, so pros and cons. So what do we got? The advantages, a lot more personal, tailoring the material, more personalized, helps make a task more efficient, especially, the repetitive, the, like the everyday, like grading, and for example, I mean, my brother's a teacher, and one of the worst parts, he says, for my job is having to go home and finish grading. So it's like this helps eliminate that, and he really likes the use of AI for those things. So AI can also provide the data that you're looking for. Where, for example, in our Blackboard, our the retention center, formerly called the retention center, now the analytics, is largely powered by AI, to where it can help provide insight on students that might be struggling, even if it's not completely clear in the grade book. It could be it can take things like engagement, how often they log in, how much time do they spend, on these on the materials, and it can kind of provide insight to what students are at risk for dropping the course. Also, it can really pave the way for innovation, especially simulation modules have been increasing in use, especially in schools and disciplines regarding like healthcare. So, you could have med students, practicing surgery, with a simulation module, and even using augmented reality and VR. So, global accessibility, meaning that it does not limit you only to your local sources. So this is kind of like the internet, but like times 100. With especially with any with the use of education, you have your options are limitless in terms of what you want to use to enhance your course. What you want to employ. So now the bad part. So here is the concerns, and I kind of made it, usually I don't like doing like too much text, but I made this because I know, this is good information, and you guys, if you want to write this down. Well, there's privacy concerns. A lot of the generative stuff comes from the user input. Every person using the internet, when you type in an AI prompt, that answer is based on like myriads of data input by even the dawn of the internet. Just how people interact with it, what people have, even like, the list of Google searches, like they've used those, they've anything that they've clicked on, that it goes by that. And there's privacy concerns regarding that, because it starts to cause this well, whose paper is it if AI helped you write it? Where did that information come from? Now, yeah, when that answer comes in, you do have it does provide you with the links. It provides you with where they got their sources. There's like a little drop-down arrow, and you can view the source. And this is a good way to cross-reference it. Or if you're, it's like remember when instructors used to say Wikipedia is not a credible source. However, Wikipedia is a good starting point for you look up the stuff, and then you look at the footnotes, and those are your sources. So a lot of times AI can also be used in that manner, but you still have the sources. There's also concerns on, if you're generating AI artwork, who really owns it? So it can, there's definitely, I'm sure, because right now we're only at, exploring like the baby steps. So we may not know the full ramifications of it. So we have to, keep abreast of these things as they arise. I think the largest concern is making people too dependent, and whereas over-reliance can diminish creativity, it can diminish critical thinking skills, especially during formative years, where kids are supposed to be exploring their writing and creativity, and kind of exploring like what kind of talents they have. They're going to become a lot of people are concerned that students or whatever you use AI for are going to become too dependent on it, to where they won't be able to perform anything without it. Certain costs of implementation. I mean, most of it is open source, so I know there's a few more sophisticated ones like Jasper AI. That one is paid. I think it's about 60 a month, and it's tiered based on, team sizes and stuff. But that one has, basically categories of what they can write for you. It's a category, and then you just input it. So it's a little more sophisticated, but the cost of implementation is a big one. It can be biased. It can be because where they source those, the generative part of it, where that is sourced from, can often be, because not everything on the internet is true. So if they sourced it from an erroneous source, it's not going to really, it's kind of defeats the purpose. It's not going to really give you what you're looking for. So, that, and the last one, it's that 30% we spoke about. They're kind of resistant to it, kind of skittish about, they're nervous about adopting it, I think it's not knowing, I think it's more of a fear of the unknown, but their concerns, where their concerns are regarding students over reliance and bias and costs, those are valid. So. All right, so now we're going to go into the ethical considerations, and we're going to take a look at what are some of the concerns, and then we're going to explore, how we can overcome them. So now we got the over reliance and dependency. That's the concern. But on the right, it shows in a way that, we can overcome this challenge. So a personalized approach, can really motivate the students to take ownership and discover a skill they didn't have before, and in addition to developing essential like metacognitive skills. The biggest one, I think, plagiarism and academic integrity. So the ease of it, as somebody who's worked in education, I was curious about it. So I took my sister, who was in college, I took she was writing like a rhetoric term paper. So I copied it and I pasted it into Gemini, and I said, write me a 4 to 5 page essay on this, and it did, and it was scary. And I think that is every teacher's worst nightmare, and you can even upload your papers and say, write this in my voice, and that I think is the biggest concern. And yes, it's a totally valid concern, because there's ways in which it can be corruptive and compromise academic integrity, but I think by having certain parameters in place we'll talk about, we can, at the end of the day, it is a net positive, because it provides students with real-time feedback, and if they're writing a paper, it can provide them real-time feedback. It can make them understand things better. Understanding of academic standards. It can even help them express themselves more authentically. Like if they want to express themselves, but they can't find the words to do so. Another one, it could, where AI and OER can, can kind of level that global playing field. It can also widen the digital divide, especially in places where they don't have access to technology. There's still school districts that
not every school district can afford to have to send their student home with a Chromebook. Not every school district has proper lab settings. I remember reading Savage Inequalities and how students in the Camden, New Jersey school were having chemistry class in styrofoam cups because the school could not afford, so, and this might make that divide even worse because it's an advantage. The ones who cannot use it are kind of further stilted, in their opportunities. However, by utilizing and investing in these technologies through virtual simulations, interactive tutorials, opening up the floor for collaborative platforms, I think students with diverse backgrounds, it can help them connect with each other, learn from each other, and regardless of where they are. Privacy and data security risks. So, it can collect and process processing of student data, which is one of the biggest concerns. Security breaches, if you put in personal information there, let's say Google Gemini, you put in some personal information in Gemini, whatever you were working on, and if there's a data breach, that information can be compromised. So if you put in your social security number and said, what location does the first three numbers, mean, because they had social security numbers based on location, that's your personal information, and it can be compromised. It's kind of but advanced encryption techniques are already underway with various AI platforms. Where it's anomaly detection systems or any kind of proactive security measures that educational institutions can use, and can fortify data protection and kind of protect their students from these breaches. The algorithm bias. There has been some concerns. For example, there's, especially with historical pictures, they have not been completely accurate. That's been one of the concerns about generative AI, especially in the imaging. They are, because it's extrapolated from incomplete data, because it's only based on like what how people interact. It's only based on like data, basically, a mega data mining operation, of the internet. So it's still not all the information. So it's, it only goes by a chunk of samples. However, if we recognize the potential for bias, I think it can actually make us sharper in finding inaccurate information. It can make us sharper in finding misinformation and disseminating, kind of like taking that apart, as well as working towards more transparency in AI. Well, a lot of educators are worried about losing their jobs, with AI, because of AI. However, I think by streamlining certain time-consuming tasks, that's where it helps them. However, at the end of the day, like I can't imagine substituting an actual instructor or professor or teacher, with an AI avatar, like even like in an online course. I can't imagine. I think there's definitely, I think for some courses it may be like self-paced courses, like that could be, but maybe an asynchronous learning. But I think face-to-face, there's I can't picture that would be a complete replacement. All right, so being responsible. So before we talk about that, we're going to take a look. If you want to use these, I've passed out some. This is a user packet for utilizing Blackboard Ultra's generative AI functionalities. And I got the laptops for you, so you could spend a few minutes, kind of, if you want to play around with it, log into your Sandbox course. You can either do it now or on your own time. You can log into your Sandbox course and play around with that, and kind of find, really discover what generative AI is capable of. And what's good about Blackboard's AI, it's powered by Microsoft Azure, and it goes by it uses your existing content. So if, let's say, you just have like 3 really big PowerPoints in there, it will go by that content and create additional modules. It can create discussions. So let's say you're like, oh, well, I have my modules, but I don't have any way to assess. You can create tests. You can create even question banks. You can create discussions. You can create. Do you have a question?
No, I've been using it.
Yeah. How do you like it?
I do.
Yeah.
And I actually used it to spruce up a little bit my modules.
Mm-hmm.
So I generated the module pictures, and it basically picks up your title of your module and gives you ideas, and you can refine it. And it looks so much easier, and I noticed that students, it's not monotony, so they quicker, like I say, go to projects. Before they will be like, where are the projects? And right now, because it's still the same spot, but that picture brings them in. And then couple of surveys, I did it too. So it's so much easier than you typing in and trying stuff like that. And sharing, it's easy too.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a huge time saver too. So, all right. So, I'll let you explore that a few minutes. All right, so how would we integrate it? So let's think about how you would integrate the AI. If you haven't, let's say you haven't used it before, you walk out of this class all excited, fresh new packet in your hand, and you're like, how am I going to do this? Well, I mean, we can start with the basics. So begin with simple AI tools like, checking the grammar, even helping, in Blackboard, helping it with like rephrasing something or generating an intro paragraph, to your, or putting in your main concepts and generating the discussion prompt. Play around with it, and start with start with the grammar, like automated feedback systems, even take a look at the analytics. Having clear expectations for your students. So this is one of the things. Triton College currently does not have a concrete policy on the use of AI, which makes it a very, very gray area. So having these clear expectations, we can, explain why, what AI is meant to be used for and what is not meant to be used for. So you really need to communicate the purpose of it, the specific tools that you will and will not use, and how it will enhance learning and not replace it. So you can say, definitely don't copy and paste in, the instructions to the term paper and say, please spit out 7 pages worth, of an essay. You want to, maybe if they highlighted it and said rephrase or make it more in academic tone, you can copy and paste the paper that you wrote and then, highlight a paragraph and say, can you make this in a more formal tone? And it'll do that. That is more or less fine, provided that it's not too, it doesn't deviate too much from your academic voice. But it's still, like the raw data, it's still stuff that you wrote. So it is definitely different than just generating, having AI generate the whole thing. Make sure you don't lose those critical thinking skills. You still want to make sure that they know how to analyze any kind of content. I have heard right now a lot of the younger generation has just started using like ChatGPT and Gemini instead of typing stuff into a Google search bar, because if you type in, like, let's say, like, who won the Stanley Cup in 1984? It was the Oilers, I think. But Gemini will tell you that, ChatGPT will tell you that, and Google will tell you that. So a lot of the younger generation uses it as almost like a proxy search engine. And you also want to make them help them and teach them how to analyze the content. Evaluate the accuracy. The current AI update, like I said, does have the sources listed on a lot of the, depending on what prompts you use. Ethical concerns. So things like data privacy, algorithmic bias, and impact of AI on the job market. Even my position as an instructional designer is not completely immune, because I think it's called like Scribble or something, Scribe or Scribble, and it's a program that just does what I just printed out for you. I made that, but there's a program where you can just create a prompt and it's gonna give you a step-by-step with screenshots. So I haven't used it, but I have seen like like short videos on it, and I'm like, well, it's kind of unsettling, but and yeah, ethical concerns, also staying updated. You don't want it to be, you don't want the AI enhanced education to stop being enhanced and just exist in a vacuum. You want it to be dynamic and staying updated on any kind of tools, or being aware of any, if somebody's like, oh, ChatGPT had a huge data breach, hey, maybe kind of lay off it for a second. So, so back to OER, how would we integrate it? Well, choose quality sources. I know it can be overwhelming to having to scour the, I know we have like our OER link, the oercommons.org, having to sift through a myriad of resources can be overwhelming. But so you have to learn how to spot, spot quality materials.
Do we have AI do that for us?
They do have like reviews.
Scour all that for us.
A lot of them have reviews and ratings, so that's which also helps. Being adaptable. Maybe tailor the content to the specific course needs. So what are you looking to get out of this? Like, why are you looking for OER material in the first place? So add your examples. Is it for an assignment? Is it for a test? Is it to supplement? Is it something that you can use for a flipped classroom? Like have students read an OER material before coming to class. So really think about how you want to use it and customize it accordingly. So giving proper credit where credit's due. This stuff is created by by people knowledgeable of the subject matter, and they've decided to share the wealth of knowledge with all of us. So attribution is kind of important to give credit, and as well as following licensing terms if applicable. So, I know some of them, it's sure you can use it in the classroom, but you cannot use it in an online course to be disseminated like among students. So most of them though are just open license. So, but there's definitely exceptions, and so just stay on top of it. Share. So we're taking advantage of these resources. So we want to kind of give something back. If you're an expert in a specific field, share work. Anything, even if it's like a PowerPoint or like a lab you've created for a simulation. Even if it's an instructional video for your sewing class, how to make a quilt. It could be anything. There's somebody searching for it. And this is where you can also put the students in the driver's seat. Allow them to, select their own, to browse their own. And this actually helps in analyzing the data. Anytime you give students that kind of privilege, it helps with their critical thinking skills. You can have it so, I remember doing an exercise when I was doing my first research paper, MLA format, and we had a whole, we went to the computer lab and we had a whole class, the English class that day was just looking at sources and being able to judge them based on how credible they are. So looking at internet sources. And so it's like, okay, so I'm not putting white gloves on to go to a research library. I have the internet now, but how do I know? Because anybody can put anything on it. So this is, we kind of got that lesson with, how do you know a source is a credible source? So we all remember that from our first research paper. All right. So how do we do this? Well, we can talk to your department head, talk to your chair about developing. You know, currently, like I said, we don't have a concrete AI policy. And while there is no one size fits all, because depending on, you know, the policy might be different from the health sciences and the School of Business than they are from, you know, for philosophy and English. So having these parameters in place, you know, talking to your dean, you know, your program chair, you know, have that conversation with, you know, what is responsible AI look like, you know, to you. Also, you know, involve any stakeholders you might have for your institution. See what they have to say. They might know. They might have some information. So, are there any questions? We have about 4 minutes. Any questions? Have you? How many of you have had student? You know, have you ever caught a student just like blatantly plagiarizing using AI?
Yes.
I want to hear.
yeah.
I want to hear all the
Oh, yeah.
all the drama. Yep.
The funniest thing is it wasn't my student,
Mhm.
it was my colleague in my class, and we have to respond to their post,
Mm-hmm.
so we have to include references. So I went straight to reference because I want to see which one he used, and they were top notch, like the best titles I've ever seen. So I'm like, shoot, I want to get access to it. I copy pasted, nada. Went to chat and say, give me this, nada. Went to Scholar, nada. Went to library, went through Epic, went through all of the search engine, open source, nada. So what I did, I went to his answer, copy paste to my Grammarly and
Mhm.
say, run me plagiarism. And it came back 98% AI generated.
Yep.
So I knew he even didn't check if those exist and no. And actually then I reviewed his answers and the answer had nothing to do even with the cases that we were working on. So obviously I didn't respond to his post because I would expose him.
Yeah.
But I also have students in my school. And we're doing technical drawings, so it's very hard to use AI because they would have to do the graphic and stuff. But I asked them, how do you use it in English? How do you use it in Think? How would you put this project in AI? Help me out. And they just say, they just copy paste. And I say, and your teachers do not check? Says I got dinged once because I use the words that do not exist in English, American English, it's British English, so that's how I got exposed. Okay, so what happened? I got 0 without chances of redoing.
Yeah,
All
maybe.
because of, you know,
Lazy.
yeah, they forgot to take out the U.
Yeah. And right now, when you think with the ChatGPT, it starts putting a watermark. Did you know that? That every
Yeah.
certain words and stuff like that, so it just picks it up, you know.
We'll be able to
stuff.
find that out. Yeah, there
From
are
that.
other ways. I heard of that.
And
Yeah.
you know, the Harvard Law
Mm-hmm.
told the students they are forbidden to use AI, which is funny because in order to be employed right now, they have to know how to use AI for contract review because they capping, the law firm capping how much you can charge for contract review. So if you don't use AI, it takes you 3-4 hours. If you use AI, the law AI, which every sort is one of them, you can do it in 15 minutes, you know, and you build it, they cap it you at like half an hour, and you're sitting at this for 40 hours, like Harvard students. And the Evisort actually Harvard alumni started a company to help themselves in a real life to process it.
Yeah. And that's Harvard. Like, you would think they would be on the forefront, but I wonder if it's also a strategy to kind of, you know, to prevent their students from like over relying, or to like drill the concept into their head to where it's, yeah, they can use AI
But
to.
it's there.
Yeah, it's
Teach them
there.
how to use it properly.
Yeah. It's contract review.
Exactly. So,
Yeah. That's wild. And yeah, that's Harvard.
yeah.
Like, but then again, I know that, you know, higher ed is notorious for taking a little longer to catch up to trends. So that's why, you know, you go to this conference, you know, you got all these like softwares and talk to these vendors, and you come back and you're like, oh my god, you know, we could totally use this, and it's like, no, it's like, wow. Why did I even go then? You know?
Right.
Yeah. Any other questions regarding AI use, or any stories or comments, complaints?
I've just seen the students, not my class, when I was tutoring somewhere else, punch it in like trying to do a quiz, just and spit out the answer and how to solve the answer. Because I teach accounting, so I was tutoring that, and I'm like, that's interesting. That's why I still do paper tests.
Yeah.
Well, because I teach accounting like concepts, but then I teach like the software QuickBooks, and you still need to know concepts in order to apply it to the software.
Yeah, just a fair warning though, Google Lens, if they take a picture of their paper test, Google Lens, you can extract the test.
For in person though, they can't use
Okay.
phones or anything.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can take it, extract it, and paste it, and it'll give you.
Yep.
You can do it with a handwritten stuff too.
You're right, that's my student did that last semester, I think I was gonna catch it.
Was this the one about
No,
shoes?
No, that was the online student
Oh.
AI who generated this project, and in the project, there were certain questions that were asked, and AI did not answer it correctly, and he didn't put in personal information as requested. So in the beginning, to get the project approved, it was a statistics project. They had to come up with two concepts that they were going to survey individuals. He had put in his reply that he was going to get shoe size, and it was only for males. That was the two criteria he stated. When he returned to the project, it had nothing to do with shoe size, and it had nothing to do with males. So AI generated a project, and when I confronted him on it, the 18 questions I asked him, the last one he confessed, he said he used AI, so therefore I told him to go to the project. Because we don't have a policy. However, we didn't answer any of the questions that were pertinent to the project
And again, be somewhere at 5:30.
All right.
So thank
Thank
you.
you very
Thank
much
you.
for coming.
Frank, you are faculty, the adjunct, yes, faculty. So look, guys, are you adjunct too?
No, I'm
Full-time?
full-time, yeah.
Okay, look under your chair and see if you got first portion of the free ticket drawing for the NISOT free tickets. So go check your chair and see if there is a,
White chair.
yeah, the chair you said, and double check if you have a piece of the puzzle underneath it. Yes, so this is one of the four that if you collect it, you will be entered into the drawing for free ticket, value of $250 to attend this workshop next semester.